Yeah, like I said, three-way light switches, I have to really think about them a little bit and do investigating on them and stuff. So I know the power is that one, okay? So then when it hooks into the light switch, these two get powered and they come over here to the light switch, okay? And this black wire and the red wire come over here from that, and then it feeds this black wire here must be the power that goes out. Maybe that's why they had it a black screw on it. Maybe I'm not quite sure why. They used to do these differently when I hooked up three-way switches years ago in residential. They used to always have the red wire on this side, okay? But it doesn't really matter whether or not the red wire is on that side or not. This is the three-way side that gives power either side at any one time. When you turn this off, the other switch is on because you've got the power leg on. And so when you turn the light switch on, it's going to throw power to this black wire, and it's hooked up to a white wire, and those go up to here. Well, if I were to take this out, there's a black and white wire up there. If I were to take that out, there's a black and white wire up to there. So the black and white wire that go from here probably go up to here, and then from there over to there. Okay, so that's kind of how that works. And I'm going to leave this one unscrewed like that until we get the dimmer switch installed. Okay. So it will make sense to you all the way. Now let's look at something here. They used to have these, the three-way, was actually different. The three-ways kind of looked like the back of a regular light switch, maybe. But now they have this box in here so they can make it a three-way or a single pole. So here's you turn that on and off. Here's the slide, and see, it's really the same thickness. I'm glad about that. And when I look at this, of course it came with some little wire nuts inside, and I'll have to cut those wires back and just leave a little end out so that I can connect everything with these little orange screws. And you see, most of the time light switches just have two black wires coming out of it, but this has a black and a red. They're actually using this red as a black. These are the two powers, the main powers in and out. They don't even have those labeled because I don't think it really matters which goes where. Okay, this is the one that matters. See, it says this wire is used in three-way installations only. For single pole installations, do not remove this insulating label. And see, it's not been stripped back. So if you were to use this as a single pole light dimmer, not a three-way, just where a switch goes from there up to your lights, and you can only control your light at one location, you'd only hook up these two wires. You see what I mean? But in a three-way condition, you're going to hook this extra wire up. And generally, the extra wire is hooked up to the red wire that's coming out of your box. Because remember, we had power. The main power is this line that comes in. Then you've got the black and the red that go out to the three-way switch. One of those is the power going out there. And well, both of them are powers, but you have to hook it in such a way to where when one switch is off, you still have power to control the other switch to where when you turn that on, it goes on. Do you see what I mean? That way you can turn it on at either light switch. And so when I look at this switch, and a single pole switch usually just has two screws on it like that. Nothing over here. Okay, that's what was throwing me. This screw here is where I would normally hook up the red wire, the jumper wire, to go between three-way switches on this side, okay? And that's how this was before. The ground wire was up high, remember? We've got the top is right there, and the red wire was over here. That's the three-way jumper wire that goes over to the other light switch, okay? And then your main power in and out goes over there. But that's what was throwing me. That was what was throwing me, because I'm not sure if the electrician hooked this up right initially. And I'm going to leave it like this, and I'm going to try to hook up that dimmer switch over there and see if it's going to work. Because see, the red wire is on this side with the two screws, when I would have thought the red wire should be over on this side. Now, is it going to matter? I kind of think it's going to matter. I'm not sure why it didn't matter from before when they hooked this up. Do you remember? The red wire is on this side with the two screws, see? And on the other switch, the red wire is hooked up on just the single screw over there. Unless they have it to where nowadays one of these screws is where the red wire goes. Whereas always on all the three-way switches I ever did years ago, mind you, from scratch, the single switch screw would be on this side or on one side or the other, and that's where the red wire would go. That makes sense? I might be confusing you, but just follow with me. And next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to strip these wires back over here. Okay, I'm going to get them all set up for the dimmer switch. And the power's off on this. And and that's the other thing. If you go back and forth like I did to figure out which is which, and you back and forth meaning turn the power on, first turn it off to pull everything out, then turn it back on to test wires to see where the actual power is coming in. Is it coming in from this box or the other box? Then you gotta remember to turn the breaker back off. There's been a couple times where I gotta think about it. Let's see, wait, before I touch this, do I have the breaker on or off? So be careful about that. I know the breaker's off, and I've just tested it again just for my own safety. And it's this wire, okay? But I pulled this one out already, twisted over, screwed it back in, and hopefully I don't have to pull that out when I get ready to put the other dimmer switch in down there. I'll make a different video of that, but I'm thinking I can do the power figuring out without taking this one out. That kind of remains to be seen. You have to watch that at a different time. But on this particular video, we're installing one dimmer and one dimmer only at this location. Okay, so since all these wires has the twizzle on there, the curly cue from the old, taking the switch off. Should I cut those off? I don't think I'm going to. Because the wires, I don't want the wires to start getting too short. I mean, they're fine right now. But, if they were longer, and if I wanted to really start pulling things out of the wall, I could cut these off, let's say, instead of just straightening them out. And once I straighten it out, I'm gonna cut the wire off a little bit. See, that's all I got to do now. I just cut the wire. I'm gonna cut the wire. I thought that shocked me, but it didn't. I'm standing on carpet, and I just got a little, I don't know what, static shock from sliding my feet around. Okay. So I've got to cut that off because I don't want that sticking out too far, because the orange wire nuts are only going to go on so far, and I don't want any of the raw copper showing on the back side. So I'll cut those short a little bit. I'd rather do this than cut the wire you know, back here, then I've got to strip it back further, and now my wire's a little bit shorter. If you think you got enough wire in the box to do that, have at it. Okay, I got to remember, that's the power, okay? That's the power wire coming into the box. I don't think I'll forget. You could always put some masking tape on it, do something, but most of the time you'll remember. Worst case scenario, you got to go and turn the breaker back off or on and figure it out. See, now I still have the bends in them, so I can fish everything back in there. And I'll cut these wires back a ways, because I'm not going to have a yellow wire nut on there or a red or, you know, anything like that. So I'm only having it stick out a little, maybe 5/16 or no more than 3/8 maybe, something like that. Of course, the ground wire, I don't have to cut that off, do I? Okay, there's your next step. We're getting ready to put this dimmer switch on.